Okay, let's dive into this explainer. Welcome everyone. Today, we're exploring one of the most fascinating and frankly high-stakes hidden worlds out there. We are talking about stereochemistry. It's a completely gripping tale of life, chemistry, and literally the deadly difference between left and right down at the microscopic level.
Right off the bat, I want you to hold out your hands for a second and just really look at them. They're perfect mirror images of each other, right? They have the exact same measurements, but they're entirely reversed in direction. Think about it. No matter how you flip, turn, or twist your left hand, you can never get it to perfectly overlap your right hand. In chemistry, we call this concept chirality. And down at the atomic scale, this beautiful, kind of terrifying asymmetry, this simple fact that a left hand is definitely not a right hand, is the exact reason you are alive right now.
To scale this up to a universal level, long before the first cell even divided, before life even really had a name, the universe faced its first great choice: left or right. Now, it wasn't a choice made by some conscious mind, but more like a random fluctuation of chance in the primordial ocean that just crystallized into absolute necessity. This single choice became permanently locked into the blueprint of literally every living thing that would ever exist on this planet. Which brings us to Section 1, the perfect molecular architect, never a mistake in 4 billion years.
Transitioning down into the microscopic world inside your very own cells, we meet the flawless master of this domain, the enzyme. And I want to be super clear here. An enzyme isn't a myth or just some abstract idea. It's a staggeringly precise molecular machine shaped by billions of years of trial and error. It is literally an architect that builds the machinery of life. And it does so completely in 3 dimensions. Out of the absolute chaos of the cell's interior, with millions of molecules tumbling and crashing together at lightning speed, an enzyme reaches out and plucks exactly the molecule it needs, every single time.
So the crucial point is this non-negotiable rule called homochirality. Basically, it's the universe's absolute commitment to one-handedness in life. When an enzyme builds the structural proteins holding your body together, it only uses left-handed building blocks, period. But when it builds carbohydrates for energy, or the spine of your DNA, it completely reverses its preference without missing a beat and exclusively uses right-handed ones.
And this brilliantly illustrates how it works in real time, like a literal lock and key mechanism. The enzyme holds the molecule in a pocket shaped exactly like a glove. The left-handed L-amino acid, it's a perfect fit. It slides right in, glowing with energy. But the right-handed D-amino acid, it just bounces right off. It is completely unapologetically rejected.
Because your enzymes play by such incredibly strict rules, using L-amino acids for proteins and D sugars for fuel and DNA, they entirely ignore the wrong mirror image. Get this, if you were to eat the wrong mirror image of a sugar molecule, it would actually still taste sweet on your tongue, but it would just vanish entirely through your digestive system without releasing a single calorie. Why? Because your biological locks simply have no keyholes for it. Crazy, right?
All right, let's move into Section 2, the blindness of chemistry, humanity's struggle to replicate nature.
Now, for centuries, us brilliant humans, well, our chemists, arrogantly thought they could just easily replicate nature's flawless work. But wow, the contrast is staggering. Nature achieves perfect 3D accuracy at a quiet, 37 degrees Celsius, using plain old water as a solvent under completely normal atmospheric pressure. Early human chemistry, though, it required violent, chaotic conditions. We're talking temperatures that could melt lead, highly toxic solvents, and crushing submarine-level pressures. And despite all that violence, what did early chemists actually get? Unseparated, messy, 50-50 mixtures of both mirror image twins.
The problem that was driving these early chemists absolutely mad was entirely invisible. You see, 2 mirror image molecules share the exact same melting point, the exact same color, and the exact same solubility. Because a basic glass flask has no spatial memory, unlike an enzyme's intricate 3D pocket, it produces both twins with perfect, maddening equality. So separating them back then, it was virtually impossible.
Which leads perfectly into Section 3, seeing in 3 dimensions, the physical revolution.
The breakthrough to solving this maddening puzzle wasn't actually chemical at first, it was visual. It's a real Wizard of Oz moment for science, honestly. The story goes that an elderly professor once saw a student really struggling with a flat molecular drawing. He reached for a box of components and just said, "You are looking at a map. Build the city." That single brilliant piece of advice forced chemistry to step out of a flat 2-dimensional world into a dimensional, physical, and highly logical one.
Let's move to and see how this builds.
Chemistry went from flat paper drawings, which are basically just 2D maps, to using actual colored model kits. By physically snapping these plastic balls together in 3D space, scientists could finally feel how large groups of atoms literally block physical paths. Actually, scratch that. It's more like they block specific chemical doorways, a concept they called steric hindrance. They saw with their own eyes why a reacting molecule absolutely must attack from a very specific direction to invert the structure. The physical geometry simply demands it.
And now we reach Section 4, the twin that kills, the tragic consequence of 2D thinking.
We have to slow down here, because this is where the story gets really grave. The year was 1957. A new drug called thalidomide was released, and it spread incredibly quickly across dozens of nations. It was marketed everywhere as a mild, perfectly safe sleep aid. And to be fair, it worked beautifully for morning sickness and insomnia in pregnant women. But there was a deadly omission. No one told the patients, or honestly even fully grasped themselves, that the drug was sold as a racemic mixture, meaning it contained a hidden shadow twin.
You see, thalidomide has two mirror image forms. The R form was the medicine. It calmed the nervous system, soothed the nausea, and allowed peaceful sleep. But the S form was a poison. It bound to proteins involved in fetal limb development and just utterly destroyed them. We're talking about the exact same atoms, the exact same bonds, just arranged slightly differently in space. And that tiny shift meant the difference between medicine and murder.
The consequence of ignoring that shadow twin was absolutely catastrophic. Over 10,000 children were born with missing or severely malformed limbs. It was a seismic shock to the entire world, a tragedy born entirely from the fact that regulators and chemists at the time just did not fully respect the devastating power of molecular handedness.
Section 5. The language of life. Chemistry learns its lesson.
Now, in the aftermath of that immense tragedy, the world of science was forced to evolve. And thankfully, it did. Today, the landscape is completely transformed. Regulatory agencies like the FDA completely overhauled their rules. Now every single new drug submission requires full stereochemical characterization. We strictly demand pure medicine. That shadow twin absolutely must be controlled and removed, leaving only the pure single enantiomer that actually heals you.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we actively use what are called chiral switches in modern medicine. Take ketamine, for example. We now isolate just its S form for a really clean anesthesia, completely avoiding the R form, which is known to cause unwanted hallucinations. Or look at naproxen. The S form effectively fights your pain, while the R form literally does absolutely nothing. By isolating just the right twin, we maximize the healing and completely eliminate the harm.
So, what does this all mean? Ultimately, stereochemistry is the language molecules use to speak to each other. Are you ready to listen? This 3D geometry isn't just some boring textbook chapter you can skip. It is the absolute reason your proteins fold, your enzymes work, and your life has actual structure, function, and meaning. Literally every cell in your body relies on the perfect fit of a microscopic lock and key. It really makes you ponder your own molecular makeup, doesn't it? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today, and I genuinely hope you never look at your own two hands the exact same way again.